Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at which Pokémon TCG set is the best one to be investing in. Now, let me be perfectly clear. This is not intended to be an investment guide. This is not intended to be a guide for scalpers or any of that garbage. What I mean is, and I get this question from people a lot, is it worth picking up this booster box? Should I get Vivid Voltage or Battle Styles, etc.? I get a lot of questions from people basically asking me, should I buy this set or wait for the next set? Which of these 2 or 3 older sets should I go for? And I thought, right, might be time to do a little bit of a video. Now, a little caveat before we get going here, I am not going to be looking at any set older than the Sword and Shield base set. And the reason is extremely simple. On September the 10th of this year, we are going to hit the rotation. And when we hit the rotation, the Sword and Shield base set is going to be rotating, well, to that onwards. Everything older than that is going to be gone. And I'm not just looking here about, I want to make lots of money, which set do I buy? I'm looking at which is the best set to invest in, which is the best set to go and buy. Both in terms of playable cards and value and all sorts of things. So, we're going to be going through these sets up to now, but we are only going to be going from Sword and Shield base onwards. Good, lovely. So starting off then with the Sword and Shield base set. Now, the Sword and Shield base set, by its very nature, it's got a lot of staple cards in there. So, for instance, if you want to go ahead and start making competitive decks, there are all kinds of things that you're actually going to find in here. You've got your obvious ones like Professor's Research and Marnie, which are the 2 supporter cards which are going to be in every single deck we ever see. But then we got all kinds of other things like Ordinary Rod and Air Balloon and Quick Ball. The kind of cards that are just going to be making their way into essentially every deck. So if you're trying to buy staples for a deck, and there are better products I think than buying booster boxes, we've done that video, but Sword and Shield is great in that regard. Now, in terms of giving us kind of the big main Pokemon for decks, Sword and Shield isn't amazing, but it did give us Zacian V. Now, this is available as a promo in various places as well. So again, I'm not sure you need to buy it for Zacian, but that is going to remain one of the best decks moving forward for a little while, so it is worth bearing in mind. Pretty good set in terms of playability. Now, in terms of value, I mean, there are multiple ways to look at it. I am going to arbitrarily be looking at cards that are worth, let's say more than $40, which is about a third of the price of a booster box. And essentially, in Sword and Shield, according to TCG Player, which I think is a pretty good place to look, we've got half a dozen. So you've got your Gold Quick Ball, which comes in at about $45. You've then got your Rainbow Rare Snorlax, which is again about $45. And your Gold Zamazenta, which again is about $45. I'm rounding a bit, I don't care. If we go a little bit higher, we've got your Gold Zacian, which is coming in about $60. You've got your Rainbow Rare Marnie, which is about $60. And your Full Art Marnie, which is about $80. Remember, we've talked before, the Full Arts are better than the Rainbow Rares. They're just cooler, and people like them more. They were intended to be kind of the base, and the Rainbow Rare being a better version of them. That is not how the player base and the collector base have basically interpreted them. Sorry. So Sword and Shield as a whole is a pretty good set to go and invest in. It gets you a lot of playable cards. It's got an awful lot of staples in. And it's got half a dozen cards which are very much on the higher end price-wise. So in that regard, it's pretty gosh darn cool. Now moving over to Rebel Clash. Rebel Clash is generally the set which is seen by players, collectors, most people as the least desirable set from the Sword and Shield block so far. It is the one that, quite frankly, people aren't that into. Which is kind of understandable, if I'm honest with you. I mean, if we look at playable cards, it gave us Boss's Orders. But again, you should never buy a booster box of a set to try and get the odd trainer card here or there, buy singles. And again, there are plenty of products where you can just buy the product and you will have boss's orders in that product. So in that regard, it's maybe not one to really gravitate towards, unfortunately. Now, there are some other decent cards in the set. It's not all bad. Things like Twin Energy came from this set, and that is clearly a phenomenal card. Tool Scrapper finds its way into the set, and again, that is one that sees a fair amount of play. Scoop Up Net is another big one that Rebel Clash gave us. But these cards that I'm naming you here, they're not on the same level as what we see in Sword and Shield. Certainly in terms of playable cards, it's not on that same level. Now, there are some decent cards. There's Eldegoss, although that was reprinted in Champion's Path, so I'll let you decide that one. Certainly, Inteleon VMAX has proven to be a very good deck, and to be fair, Dragapult VMAX was a great deck and is coming back again. Double V is another one that sees a fair bunch of play, just kind of coming in as a tech here and there. So there are some decent decks to be made from Rebel Clash, and certainly in terms of top decks, arguably more than Sword and Shield, but I don't know if it's worth buying a box just for potentially Inteleon and Dragapult. And I told you that Eldegoss was reprinted in Champion's Path. Remember, so was Double as a promo, so I'm not sure the individual cards in Rebel Clash are worth pulling to that extent. And if we head on over to TCG Player and we use our arbitrary $40 cutoff, we've got Full Art Sonya, which is about a $40 card, and Rainbow Rare Sonya, which is about a $50 card. Incidentally, does make a mockery of what I just told you about Full Arts and Rainbow Rares. I still contend the Full Arts are better, but apparently in Rebel Clash they don't agree. So clearly in terms of the kind of real chase cards, Sword and Shield is better. And honestly, in terms of pulling really good cards for your deck, I think it's fair to say that Sword and Shield is better there as well. So Rebel Clash is often seen as the set you don't really want to invest in. Honestly, yeah, that actually holds up pretty nicely. I'm sorry, but I don't think Rebel Clash is the best set to go for. I am very sorry about it. So moving on then, we are going in order here after all. How about Darkness Ablaze? How does that stack up? Well, Darkness Ablaze was an alright set in terms of your playability stuff. I mean, Trainers is often a good place to start when we're looking to see what we get from a set. I'm going to be honest with you here. In terms of Trainers, Darkness Ablaze ain't good. Like, Birdkeeper is an occasional tech in terms of supporter cards. Cape of Toughness sees a bit of play. That's kind of cool. Glimwood Tangle if you're playing a flippy deck. But again, compared to like Sword and Shield, these are not even close. In terms of your trainer cards and your staples, Darkness Ablaze isn't there. Except for Crobat V. Crobat V, incidentally, is one of the best reasons to buy Darkness Ablaze. It is a great card, which is really just going to be at the center of a whole bunch of decks moving forward. Problem is, it got a reprint in Shining Fates. And there was that pack you could buy to give you the shiny version. And we know that the next Trainer's Toolkit is going to come with 2 copies of it. And I think that's like a $30 product. And you get 2 of them. So whereas Crobat V might have been a reason to buy Darkness Ablaze in the past, you know, in the same way that Roaring Skies, you would buy it, one of the main reasons was to try and pull a Shaman, which was the equivalent back then of what Crobat is nowadays. It's not the same. Crobat, and this is a real credit to the Pokemon Company International, Crobat is really available. Like, properly available. It's not great, honestly, if you're buying the box just for that. Now, there were a couple of big decks that came out of Darkness Ablaze. Center Scorch was really good, although with the rotation coming up, I think that is a deck that's going to take a pretty big hit. Eternatus, I don't think is going to take a big hit. Eternatus is a phenomenal deck, which remains awesome. Even then, it's worth pointing out that there were gold versions in Shining Fates, and there was the Eternatus box, which did come out, which did give you one of the Vs and one of the V Maxes, the alternate art. So even then, I'm not sure you would really want to buy it just for that. And to be fair, there was also the Eternatus V Tin. You see where I'm going with this? Where I'm going with this is that, again, the Pokemon Company have done a pretty phenomenal job, honestly, of making these products available to us. So, in terms of playability, there are some decent cards in Darkness Ablaze. It gave us 2 top-tier decks and Crobat and all of that. But if you're asking me whether I need to buy Darkness Ablaze in order to get these cards, no. They're available in other places, and singles are out there. Incidentally, you might wonder why I'm not particularly mentioning just your average rares and holos and all of that, and the reason is they never get expensive. So even if there are like nuts good playable rares in any of these sets, you're going to be able to pick them up for a couple quid each, so I'm not really focusing on them. Now, if we move and have a little bit of a look value-wise, the set is extremely top-heavy, by which I mean you've got Charizard. And Charizard is like a $90 to $100 card. Charizard is a very expensive card. However, it's basically just the Charizard. And bearing in mind, there are other more expensive versions of that Charizard that you can pull in other sets. Seriously, Champion's Path and Shining Fates both have more expensive, better versions of Charizard V Max. So it's really hard for me to recommend this when it can be gotten as a better card in 2 other sets. And outside of that, there's no other card that really hits above $30. So, again, as much as Darkness Ablaze is often heralded as this great set, maybe a sealed product, but in terms of top-heavy cards, you know, the high-value cards, it's not great. And in terms of playability, there are some really good cards in Darkness Ablaze, but they've all been reprinted and made available more easily in other places. Now, Vivid Voltage is not a set that set the competitive world on fire. I was lucky enough to be casting the Players' Cup 2, and in the Global Finals, we introduced Vivid Voltage as a new playable set. And almost no cards from that set actually saw any play. I always thought that Talonite V was going to be a great card that saw a huge amount of play as a setup Pokemon. That has not proven out as we might like, unfortunately. You got cards like Telescopic Sight that let you hit the bench a bit better, and that's kind of nice. Memory Capsule that lets you use attacks of your previous evolutions. Leon to do a little bit of extra damage. There are useful cards, but none of them really set the world on fire. And in terms of introducing big new competitive decks, it just didn't do that. Colossal really was like the best deck that was introduced from Vivid Voltage, and honestly that has kind of fallen off a cliff because no one's really playing that and seeing competitive success with it at the moment. It is not a good set playability wise. If you're looking to try and buy a set to get a whole bunch of playable cards and start building a collection, Vivid Voltage is not the set to go for. However, if you want to get high-end cards, this might be a decent one to go for. According to TCG Player, we've got Full Art Nessa, which is probably just under the $40 barrier. You've got Rainbow Rare B, which comes in about $40. Rainbow Rare Nessa, which comes in about $45. Full Art Pikachu, which comes in at around about $65. And then you've got the Rainbow Rare Pikachu, which comes in at $360. Again, take these prices with a pinch of salt. They're decent. They're decent approximations. Don't take them as read. So now we get up to this really good place where there is a proper chase card. Like a proper, this will pay for my box, 3 times over chase card, which we did not see in any of the previous sets. And this is why you want Vivid Voltage. If you're a player, Vivid Voltage, not a good set. But if you are a collector, Vivid Voltage, in terms of the higher end cards, really does make the other sets look not particularly great. So it's very much one to consider. And then finally, we can take a little bit of a look at battle styles. Now, when I say finally, no, I haven't mentioned these special sets like Shining Fates and Champion's Path. The reason is they are special sets, they are different, they don't perform the same function. You can't go and buy a booster box or a free pack blister or something along those lines. If you want me to compare those free sets, Shining Fates would be the other one, then yes, I absolutely can do that. But I can't do that right now. That's not what this video is aiming to do. Similarly, I've not mentioned Chilling Reign, which is the upcoming set, because it's not out yet. We don't know exactly what's going to happen in terms of the values. We don't know what's going to happen in terms of playable cards. If you want the kind of 10-second version of it, I think there are some really, really good playable cards in that set. And I think there are some of these special arts which people are going to go absolutely nuts for. And I do think Chilling Reign is absolutely a set that is worth investing in. But finishing off with Battle Styles then, I like Battle Styles as a set. I think Battle Styles, I mean, even if it did nothing else, it gave us the single and rapid strike staples. So it gave us single strike and rapid strike energy, which you are going to need if you play single and rapid strike decks in the future. It gave us stuff like Octillery for rapid strike decks and Houndoom for single strike decks. If you want to be playing single and rapid strike decks in the future, then absolutely this set is giving you a whole bunch of staples, and that needs to be borne in mind. But there are some others that are not single and rapid strike. Level Ball got a reprint here, which is kind of cool. It is also worth pointing out there are things like Phoebe, which is kind of going to be a must in any VMAX deck, and Cheryl, which gives rather ridiculous healing. So there are some real goods. A fan of Waves, I know it's a rapid strike card, but really it's special energy hate. Escape Rope got a reprint, which is kind of cool. So I do think that this set is pretty good in that regard. Then, of course, we've got single and rapid strike Urshifu VMAX, either of which I think could be a real top deck moving forward. There's certainly early signs that they might be good decks. Then you've got Victini VMAX as well, which again is already proving to really be a potential top tier deck. And Tapu Koko VMAX, which has had a fair amount of early success. So these are proper, exciting, good decks which are coming from this particular set. So I really do think in terms of playable cards, Battle Styles is probably the best one we've seen since Sword and Shield base. And honestly, and we're early, it's not been out long, but I think in terms of playable cards, Battle Styles might be the best of the 5 Sword and Shield sets to actually go and get excited about. And similarly, in terms of your high value cards, I mean, look, we are early on, okay? That is important to note, and these prices can fluctuate. But we've got the Special Art Empoleon, it's about a $40 card. Full Art Phoebe, which is about a $30 card. Rainbow Rare Rapid Strike Urshifu, about a $40 card. Phoebe, the Rainbow Rare, is about a $40 card. And then we've got Houndoom, the gold version, is about a $50 card. The alternate art single strike Urshifu is about $55. The alternate art rapid strike Urshifu is about $100. And the special art Tyranitar is about $105, just a couple dollars more than the Urshifu. So to put it simply, these are also good high-end cards. There's nothing on the same level as the Pikachu we looked at, but there are 8 cards you can pull that come in at above $40 or around $40 or more, and that makes it good compared to some of the other sets. Honestly here, I think Battle Styles is the best one to be investing in. The other thing to bear in mind, the 2022 rotation is going to essentially be Battle Styles on, so this will last an extra year over the other sets. But certainly in terms of the number of decent cards and playability-wise, I think Battle Styles is the best. If you're looking for the big hit / sealed product, I think Vivid Voltage is still your best option because you do have that Pikachu looming in there. But I think outside of that, Battle Styles is probably number one. There we go. I actually gave a proper answer. and I'm a little bit proud of myself. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you think about all of this stuff. I want to know which set you think is the best one to be going and picking up. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.